New allegations are being thrown directly at Anthony Fauci and the CIA once more when it comes to the talks of the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Isn't that just incredible? Once again, we see the fact of the CIA apparently having their hand in curtailing certain narratives to be distributed and disseminated amongst the public and as well as the world. Isn't that unbelievable? No, of course not. Let's go ahead and jump into this. We have the document itself from the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. That is going to be a great starting point, and then we will jump into the rest. Let's go. Breaking from the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic. New allegations have been levied at the CIA because they have apparently escorted Dr. Anthony Fauci into their agency headquarters to help influence the COVID-19 origins investigation. Well, well, well. What do we have here? And now that this is coming out, if it isn't the inevitable consequences of your actions, well, isn't that incredible? Down here, we see Dr. Fauci's suspicious moments are especially concerning in light of recent whistleblower testimony alleging CIA rewarded 6 analysts with significant financial incentives to change their COVID-19 origins conclusion from lab leak to zoonosis. If you do not know anything about that, please go ahead and click the link that is above right here. I have a video on this. It did not do well. It's almost like they don't want information like that getting out, but granted, this channel is also relatively small and gets basically no viewership. So that also makes perfect sense. Let's not go ahead and jump to conclusions on why this video didn't do well. There will be many that will not do well. Alrighty, here we see what difference does it make to the CIA whether the pandemic originated at a Chinese lab or in nature. Now it's time to ask Dr. Fauci the same question. Couldn't agree more. And here we see this is from the Congress of the United States, from the House of Representatives. It says the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic has received concerning information on the CIA's investigation into the origins of COVID-19. According to information gathered by the Select Subcommittee, Dr. Anthony Fauci, then director of the NIAID, being the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, played a role in the CIA's review of the origins of COVID-19. The information provided suggests that Dr. Fauci was escorted into the CIA headquarters without record of entry. No record of entry whatsoever. Isn't that just unbelievable? And participated in the analysis to influence the agency's review. Our goal is to ensure the scientific investigative process regarding the origins of COVID-19 was fair, impartial, and free to alternative influence. Yeah, I'm sure it was absolutely free of any external influence when you have people like Dr. Fauci coming in so that you can retool the narrative. The Select Subcommittee goal is to ensure accountability and transparency. The American people deserve the truth, as does the world, to know the origins of the virus and whether there was a concerted effort by the public health authorities to suppress the lab leak theory for political or national security purposes. Accordingly, information regarding specific movements of Dr. Fauci throughout the pandemic is reasonable and hardly intrusive, especially considering he is no longer employed by the federal government, he's no longer a protectee of the Inspector General, and we are not requesting any information regarding his current movements. To assist the Select Subcommittee with its investigation, we request the following documents, and this information to be delivered to us as soon as possible, but no later than October 10th. I will be looking to see what happens after this information is delivered on October 10th. I may be making a video on it if anything interesting happens. Alrighty. Number 1. Documents sufficient show any Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General authorized, supported, or otherwise affiliated with movements of Dr. Anthony Fauci from January 1st of 2020 through December 31st of 2022 into any CIA-owned, operated, or occupied building, including but not limited to George W. Bush Center of Intelligence. Number 2, all documents and communications between and among employees or contractors of the Department of Health and Human Services that has anything to do with Anthony Fauci and CIA-owned or operated occupied buildings, including and not limited to the George Bush Intelligence Center. Number 3, all documents and communications between or among employees or contractors of the Department of Health and Human Services. Number 4, all documents and communications between and or among employees and contractors. Number 5, all documents and communications between among employees or contractors again. And it goes on and it just reiterates these in different ways to get every single small nuance, because when it comes to actual literature with government documents, you have to have all of this stuff ground down to the minutia. Otherwise, they'll sidestep it, avoid certain information, and they'll completely avoid everything that you actually wanted to come of this, because they will just sit there and they'll sprinkle little pieces to go ahead and suit whatever they want to go ahead and serve you on their platter of absolute bullshit, and then they'll move on. In addition to these documents, we request you make Special Agent Brett Rowland available for a voluntary transcribed interview at a date to be determined. Accordingly, the subcommittees will contact you to schedule the interview. Alrighty. So what we see here is it is here signed by Brad Winstrup, and this is something that I think needs to be talked about heavily, is the fact of the CIA's connection to what happened with the COVID pandemic, the COVID crisis, the fact that we have biolabs in Ukraine that are already known to be funded and operated by the intelligence apparatus that is connected to the United States. Moving on, we have this video and it says, "We are your doctors, you trust us. You trust us, you trust us, you trust us." More psychological warfare propaganda masquerading as an advertisement for criminal pharmaceutical companies. And this video genuinely pisses me off to no end, and I will break down many reasons why it does so. I'm going to go ahead and play it and let this ring, then I will go ahead and break down why it is so sick and the way it was pushed. Let's go.
We are your doctors.
You trust us.
You trust us.
You trust us.
You trust us.
You trust us with your life. You trust us with those you love.
So trust us when we say,
Get vaccinated against COVID-19.
The vaccines are safe.
They are proven to work. You may have wanted to wait, I get it. But don't wait until it's too late.
trust us.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Now that you've seen the actual propaganda piece itself, we're going to go ahead and jump in and break it down bit by bit so we can understand the nature of how nefarious the machinations that are behind many of the things that are pushed by the establishment are, especially when it comes to the fact of lying to you about what's best for your health. Alrighty. The comment from Inversionism says, "More psychological warfare propaganda masquerading as an advertisement for criminal pharmaceutical companies." Absolutely spot on. Let's go ahead and jump in and break this video down and why it's so despicable.
We are your doctors.
You trust us.
You trust us.
You trust us.
You trust us.
So, here's the deal. If someone is incredibly trustworthy, you do not need them to tell you endlessly that you can trust them, because they exude this natural thing called charisma and likability that disarms you and lowers your threat adept responses. And then with that, it comes to the fact that you build kinship. And with the process of building kinship comes trust. If someone told you endlessly over and over, "Don't worry, man, you can trust me, bro, you can trust me, I promise you can trust me," I'm immediately going to think that you're up to something suspicious and that you're nothing more than a fucking liar. Sorry, not sorry. And that's exactly how I feel when I listen to people like this. I'm sure these are actual doctors with real credentials that are experts in their field, that understand certain things, but here's the deal. What I also understand is if they're doing this, they're nothing more than propagandists that are paid establishment mouthpieces for the pharmaceutical industry. Because at this point, you're no better than an actor to me. Let's go ahead and continue with this despicable fucking mentality.
You trust us with your life. You trust us with those you love.
So trust us when we say,
Get vaccinated against COVID-19.
The vaccines are safe.
All right, we got to pause there and immediately just go into the fact that they're talking about, well, the vaccines are safe. And who did they use to go ahead and represent saying the vaccines are safe? They used a pregnant woman. You have to think about the psychological manipulation that is at play when it comes to advertising campaigns. Everything in an advertising campaign is done specifically and intentionally. You can go ahead and see that they've clearly met their ESG quotas when it comes to diversity and having all of the specific races and different disparate versions of people that you would see in the equitable version of society that the left and progressives want to promote. Well, here's the deal. Why isn't there a midget? Where's the trans person? I didn't see either of those. I thought we cared about equity and inclusion here. Apparently, we don't really care about it. It's just a surface level thing. So we can say, look, we have experts of every single race and creed. Well, here's the deal. I don't give a shit about your race. It's irrelevant to me, and it means nary a thing. But the fact that they would use a pregnant woman to push the ideal of saying, it's safe and effective, don't you worry, there's no repercussions. When we see now, and we know this for a fact, look it up for yourself, don't trust me on this, pregnant women are having major problems when it comes to their miscarriages. Miscarriages are skyrocketing. We have postmenopausal women who are now going through bleeding sessions, which is something that only happens to postmenopausal women if they are having cancers. We have women who are having irregular bleeding cycles. We have women who are bleeding more than standard. And not only that, we have mRNA that is now seeped into the breast milk of pregnant women. And this has been proven. We were told that there were going to be no after effects. mRNA couldn't linger in the body. And much like the process of what we were told with how mercury wasn't going to linger within the body, nor breach the blood-brain barrier when it comes to how vaccines were handled and how they were going to be processed by your body, it turns out they got this wrong too. Let's go ahead and continue.
They are proven to work. You may have wanted to wait, I get it. But don't wait until it's too late.
I will continue to wait, and I will operate on nothing more than natural immunity, and I will use my immune system as well as being a healthy individual that pays attention to how I need to take vitamins, get sunlight, and exercise. And that will be how I will counter the consistent, endless waves of illness that will greet me throughout many phases of my life, because I'm a human being that has evolved to do so through millions of years of biological presuppositions that have been set within my coding, just like it has yours.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Trust us.
Much like that of the person who drives the white van with no windows, walking up to the child as they open the door saying, "Do you want some candy? Don't you worry, you can trust me. Come on into my van to get some candy. Trust me, trust me, trust me." Because that's what these people are. They are predators preying on gullible people. And let's go ahead and jump into the last comment of what was said by inversionism. He says, "This is what I mean when I say it's survival of the wisest. It's like they're going after the gullible and extremely naive and remove them from the gene pool." My God, I genuinely hope that's not the case. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Here we see Elon Musk. Have you heard of disinformation? Because we know the corporate press loves to use the term disinformation. But here we have, this is absolutely fantastic. Whoever compiled this together, chef's kiss, I tip my hat to you. You're you're a gentleman, a scholar of the highest creed, and clearly a classy man who deserves nothing but the best. This is the degradation of the narrative in real time, and this is exactly why something like Elon Musk owning Twitter is such a valuable piece of information. And oh my God, I can't get over the fact that Elon Musk all started this entire endeavor with the fact that the Babylon Bee got banned because of a joke. Thank God for Elon Musk. God bless this man, and God bless all of you. Let's go ahead and jump into this fact of how the narrative is backslided to prove the fact that the conspiracy theorists were realistically just 6 months ahead of the curve. Let's go.
shot. We've got to make sure we clarify that with people. It has nothing to do whether or not it's effective. We know it's highly effective. Highly effective.
After watching that, can you honestly say you can trust the hacks and the legacy media or the corporate press whatsoever at all? I'd argue no, because I know I will never trust these people ever again, because they're nothing more than lying mouthpieces for the regime. The fact is, this is the same thing that has happened consistently with the coverage of the 70 years of war that the United States has pushed throughout the globe when it comes to overthrowing governments, funding military coups, whether it's bottom-up or top-down regime changes of governments, whether it's funding rebel groups, fueling genocides. It doesn't really matter. The consistency of the corporate press when it comes to how much they lie about the nefarious machinations of the world empire is limitless. Alrighty, let's jump in. CIA brought Fauci in without a record of entry to influence review of COVID-19 origins. Alrighty. The CIA brought Dr. Anthony Fauci to its headquarters without a record to help influence the agency's review of the origins of COVID-19. Fauci, who was the director of the NIAID, said that this was no problem, but a record of his admittance and entry into the building during the time is not available. So, when Fauci was questioned originally, and he was asked if he had talked to the intelligence agencies about this, when he was questioned by Rand Paul, he said no. He said that wasn't a thing that happened. No, Senator, this was never a problem. I never had this thing. I never made money from NIH. Da 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 da. I can't do a good Fauci impression. Anyways, you get my point. So what we see here is Ohio Rep. Brad Winstrup understood the concerns of the COVID-19 virus may have originated from a biolab in Wuhan, and whether public health organizations were funded by Fauci himself is of major concern, and we need to understand the role in the process of him possibly covering that up. Well, here we see this is the tweet that all started this off. Let's go ahead and we see the information provided suggests that Dr. Fauci was escorted into Central Intelligence Headquarters without a record of entry and participated in analysis of influence, the agency's review head said. The idea that they are allowing Dr. Fauci or the CIA to influence each other, it's like, well, here's the deal. We can't allow certain pieces of information to get out. And if you're not aware of the fact that the CIA and the US government and the intelligence apparatus are funding biolabs throughout countries like Ukraine, as well as multiple different places across the world, like, I don't know, Wuhan, China, well, go ahead and look into the history of US funding biolabs abroad, because they don't want to do that research here, but they'll gladly do it overseas in someone else's borders. Alrighty, let's go ahead and jump in. Here we see Fauci diverted US government away from lab leak theory of COVID origin, sources say. And this is covering roughly exactly the same thing, but this is written by Matt Taibbi, and this is on Public. I really just want to highlight Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger because they're so fantastic, and I want to put more light on these people because so many people don't understand the individuals who are writing about so many of these things. They see the article in passing, and they don't know anything about the actual journalist, and these are real journalists with proper credentials that I genuinely trust. I recommend to follow. Everything will be linked in the description down below, as per usual. Please go check everyone out that I used in these links. Genuinely well worth your time. I can't get over how valuable people like the Daily Caller are with what they're doing when it comes to their investigative reporting with stuff that's going on at the border, with people like MSNBC, CBC, CBS, ABC, CNN completely avoiding the massive tragedy that is gracing so many of the poor people that are migrating now across the border because of the open border policies of someone like the Bidens and the Biden administration and what is now being pushed. With what we see, the fact is, we simply can't contain all of these immigrants within the borders of the United States when it comes to funding them and having sustainable metrics and systems. When it comes to actually supporting these people, the people, as we see in places like New York City, are now saying, no, we can't afford to be a sanctuary city because we're being overrun with migrants. Now imagine how the people in border towns feel in places like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and possibly California. Alrighty. We're going to go ahead and jump in, and we see former director of the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Fauci, led the U.S. government's response to the coronavirus pandemic. And I just wanted to put that out there, that this man, the one who no one seems to be able to trust, is the one who led the response from the coronavirus pandemic. I will be dropping it there. Never forget that Donald Trump dropped the ball by leaving Anthony Fauci on the job, and in the process absolutely fucking blundered, making 2020 the worst year in modern American history. And Donald Trump loves to run on the fact that he's nothing more than a winner, but in 2020 we were all nothing but losers. Don't ever forget it. He needs to have his feet held to the fire on this, and this is something that the Republicans really need to press him on if they actually want this man to be the quote-unquote anti-establishment figure that he claims to be, because he consistently gets so close to people like Lindsey Graham, who are nothing more than establishment warhawks that want to endlessly fund Ukraine, and see those people ground into the dirt as long as it means seeing Russia bled dry completely. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. Thanks for watching if you got this far. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section down below. I will gladly look at any resources you can provide me. Everything will be linked in the description down below as per usual for everything that I use to make these videos. Alrighty. Thanks for watching. Stay lovely. Stay great. Peace out.